Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Trevor coming at you from beautiful Seattle. I'm on this little hiking trail here. I figured I'd come and talk to you guys yet again about Mstr stock, maybe a little bit about Mana Planet, basically the Bitcoin treasury company. So if you're interested in that, definitely stay tuned. But before I get into it, I need to tell you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in AI or crypto or robotics related stocks, that's what that's my go-to. I guess that's what I specialize in. That's what I like to learn about and talk about and eventually try to make generate some wealth from, right? So hopefully anyway. So like I said, if you're interested in anything like that, definitely subscribe to the channel. If you do own MicroStrategy stock, definitely like the video and comment down below how many shares you got, how many shares you plan on buying. Hopefully you're not selling at these low prices. So yeah, with that, let's get right into the video. I want to talk to you guys again because MicroStrategy fell again today. It's at like 280, which is very, very low for what it is. It was just at 450 a couple months ago, a month and a half ago, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. So yeah, I mean, it's been hard stock to own, right? I've seen some of you guys comment that below in previous videos that it's hard to own, seeing it go down so much, and seemingly every day for the past few weeks. But that's why I make these videos, guys. I make these videos so that you guys know that you're not the only ones losing money temporarily, right? And that if it is just temporary, it's not really that big of a loss. It's not really even a loss at all, because until you realize the loss, in my opinion, you don't have the loss, right? You kind of do. You kind of do have the loss, but you haven't realized it yet, right? And the long-term strategy is still there for you to take advantage of. So it's one of those things. 280 now, but who knows where it's going to be at in a month, a week, really, next year, the year after, who knows. But I did get into an argument with one of my friends today in this class that I'm in, and wanted to talk to you guys about it, because basically it's the idea of like how much money you need in order to retire if you live in the United States, right? And by retire, I mean not work for an employer, because I think the majority of people that are on YouTube watching videos about MicroStrategy or AI and crypto stocks, they're on the right track. They don't want to be working for the man for the rest of their life, just like me. But here we are. Most of us are doing that. And I brought up how, if you've got $2 million invested in the stock market, let's say fairly diversified, not over diversified, but diversified enough to where if 1 or 2 of your positions don't work out, that you're doing just fine, right? That I think that if you have 2 million, that you can realistically, long term, if you pick your own stocks, your own equities that you purchase, you can get maybe 30% ROI, like annualized. Even like through the crashes and all this stuff, as long as you don't set like stop losses or like sell when it's low or anything like that, I think you have a lot of opportunity to make 20-30% ROI, maybe even more, So what that boils down to is, like, today, if you were to take, let's just say, $50 and buy Bitcoin or MSTR every single week, right? By 2030, if Bitcoin's like, $1 million, then you've got, like, even starting just from today, you've got close to $100,000, And so that's a big deal, right? And let's say you held on to that, and by 2035, it 10x's again, you've literally got $1 million to your name by just putting in $50 a week for 5 years into an asset, right? Which just about anyone, almost anyone, if they really tried, they could afford that. So, and some people, like I said, some people in the class that I'm in, they want to argue with me and say 2 million's not enough, and that, your brain will rot if you just retire and don't do anything. And I kind of do agree with that, right? You got to do something with your life. Otherwise you will rot. I'm an engineer, and that's what happens to a lot of engineers, especially in the aerospace industry, is, it's well known that, like, the Boeing engineers, when they retire, if they don't do something, they don't last very long, That's neither here nor there, but what I'm really getting at is it's like, my personal threshold is about 2 million. Once my investing account gets to about 2 mil, I would probably take out like $250,000, throw it into a high yield savings account that'll cover me for maybe 2 years if I live frugally, right? and then let the rest ride in the investment account, right? And hopefully at this point I also have the house paid off. But what I'm getting at is, it's like, you want to be buying assets that are going to go up over time, and you also want to be buying them when no one else wants them. So it really seems like Bitcoin, and specifically the Bitcoin treasury companies right now, are those plays where it really seems like there's just so much opportunity, because everyone's just not interested in them right now, and there's somewhat cyclical plays. So yeah, like, when you actually get a goal and you like set it, and you set that threshold, it kind of like motivates you in a different way. I think we've all set goals and achieved goals before, but like the money goals, sometimes they seem out of reach, or like people don't really know how to set a money goal, because they don't know what to truly expect as far as ROI, or truly expect as far as how much they can contribute to an investment account. But I'm telling you guys, if you guys just throw $50 a week into Bitcoin or Mstr or Metaplanet, Ethereum, some sort of, crypto related, Bitcoin or Ethereum related asset, I think you'll do pretty well over time. And I'm not the only one that thinks that, right? So it's like, if you can be diligent enough, get to the point where you have 2 mil in an investment account, then if you're making 30% ROI on that every year, well, my friends, that is $600,000, right? I don't think many people are out here working at McDonald's or Walmart or Boeing or anywhere else if they're making 600K, or then that's just the beginning, right? Because the next year you'll have 2,600 or 2.6 mil, and a third of that is like almost a mil. So you're gonna make a mil the next year after that. So that's just what's really important is you have to understand, at least somewhat, what the future looks like, right? When you understand, when you feel like you know what the future looks like, where you've got an idea, this idea is A, right? Well, odds are the future is not going to be exactly A. Future does not equal A in reality, but it's going to equal A with like a little bit of changes, right? But the A is still probably going to be there, right? So that's why you can't have everything all in one bucket. So don't just put your whole entire account into Mstr. I would never suggest that, and I'm not a financial advisor anyway. I just talk to you guys about how I invest, right? But I like to buy assets that conform to my view of the future, right? And my view of the future is, I think that Bitcoin is going to affect the financial game heavily, right? I think it's going to be the world reserve currency. I think every currency is going to be plotted against Bitcoin at a certain point, and they're all going to be just going straight down basically over time, and Bitcoin's just going to be going straight up with respect to every government currency ever created. So yeah, when you think about it like this, and you've got like an idea of the future, like I said, there's always going to be some percentage that you're going to be wrong, which is why you can't put everything in one asset. But taking asymmetric bets, I really think is the play, guys, because one day robots are going to be doing all the work, right? You're going to have Bitcoin that's going to have all the value. These are my ideas, so maybe I'm wrong, but before then, you want to be able to buy the house that you want to live in, right? You want to be able to afford the lifestyle and the travel and all these things that you want to do, because everyone's kind of the same, and we all have differences, but we all get enjoyment out of a lot of the similar things, right? So, you want to be able to raise your kid in a good school and live in a nice house and all these things. And a lot of people think it's so out of touch to even think that you can do that anymore. Or like, what people were arguing with me in my class was that, like, we were at lunch, wasn't in class, but like the people were arguing that 2 mil just isn't enough anymore. That really, for them to quit their job, they'd have to have 10 mil in the bank. I'm sitting there like, 10 mil? 10 mil in the bank to quit your job? What the heck? If you think about just a 10% return on 10 mil, that is $1 million a year, right? You can go get 5%, like just from money markets right now in a high yield savings account. So if you got 10 mil, you throw it all into a 5% yield, right? You're gonna get $500,000 every single year, annualized, for free, no risk at all. It's like, I don't need $500,000 to live on, but I also would never do put my entire account. I think it's also important to note that once you get to a point where you have 6 figures, low 6 figures, high 6 figures, low 7 figures, so like a mil or two, I think it's also important to not change the way that you live your life and change the way that you invest specifically. You can change the way you live a little bit, right? You don't need to save as much, because everything you save, when you have, 6 figs, 7 figs, everything you save becomes less percentage-wise compared to what you make every day or what your net worth is, right? So what I'm saying is, if you got $1 million, are you really, and you get paid $1,000 a week, are you really gonna try to save your $1,000 a week or $500 a week when you're making thousands a week in your investment account? You're just not gonna do it. It doesn't make sense. It's the same thing with working, right? You got 10 mil, you ain't working. Not working for the man. Maybe some people, but this is my argument. I think that after 2 or 3 million in the bank, I think less than 5% of those people go in and work for the man. Maybe they have their own company, sure, but they don't go in and work for Boeing. They don't go in and work for McDonald's, nothing like that. They ain't doing that shit anymore. There's no point. You make so much more in your investment account than you do from working. It's like, what is the actual point? You're just donating your time at that point. So to get out of the rat race, guys, all it really requires is being diligent and getting that first 100K, right? And getting that first 100K in something that's not super diversified, but diversified enough. So like, the way I roll is I have like, back in the day, I put like 66% in Tesla and like 33% in Bitcoin related assets, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum related assets. And now my Teslas went up so much, I'm like 85% Tesla, right? Now I only have 10 to 15%, 15 to 20% crypto related assets, right? I'm not touching it. I'm not. This is the other thing. Let your winners ride. I don't know how much I can stress that, but it's like, there's a reason why the price is more expensive than it was last year or last month or whatever. It's because it's a good company. Sometimes when these companies go down, it's because they suck, right? But if a company's going up, it's one of two things. It's either in a bubble or it's a better company than it was before. So a lot of people, I have a lot of friends in engineering, that they get to a net worth of 500K or 600K and they take all their money out of the stock market, they pay off their house, their wife stops working, raises their kids from home, and they go from dual income, no kids, to one income, 2 kids, house paid off, very few bills, but they're not appreciating very much, right? Their house is gonna be worth more, right? In 5 or 10 years, yeah, 100% their house is gonna be worth more because they're gonna keep inflating the money supply. But they're not, they aren't business owners at that point, right? It's important to own a business, having either stocks or crypto, either an inflation hedge with Bitcoin and other cryptos, or to literally be a business owner, own stocks of the companies that you think will do well over time, and don't over diversify or pay off your house or all this other BS, right? It's like, whatever has gotten you to where you're at with how successful you are in your financial, world, you got to keep doing that, right? So it's like, never give up. And it's not that hard. Literally all you have to do is just learn. That's all. That's what it boils down to, is if you like learning and you can get the conviction about a company and you can stomach the ups and downs, you will be paid handsomely. That's what it boils down to, is if your thesis is right, everything plays out right, don't sell when it goes up. Keep it. Keep your shares. Keep your crypto. Don't get out of it. Don't say, oh, I made this money, I'm gonna take my W while I can before it turns into an L. Nah. Ride with your winners, guys. And my personal opinion is, I think that MSTR and Metaplanner are winners, right? Because I like Bitcoin a lot, and I think I also like Tesla. But I mean, these things, they're volatile, right? And people are gonna say that you're lucky when it's over with. They're gonna say, hey, you're lucky you made money on Tesla. You're lucky you made money on Bitcoin. And they're not gonna realize the conviction you had when the stock and the crypto was doing this the whole time. I was holding on to Tesla shares, buying more Tesla shares when they were burning Teslas in the street, right? I mean, how much conviction does that take? not only to hold the shares, but buy more when they're burning the cars in the street, right? And I know you guys all have it in you too. I want to see everyone do well, right? So this is my personal humble video about you know, how to change your life for the better, you know, and just continue doing what you're doing. I know if you're watching this video, you probably have some MSTR shares, so you're on the right track, right? So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments below. It's a little bit different, just some life advice, I would say, from me as it corresponds to investing. So I'm not a financial advisor, just once again. But anyway, guys, if you made it this far, definitely subscribe. You know, I make videos like this all the time, so like the video, comment down below, whatever you want. Let me know what's on your mind, and guys, have a great day.